I found the ring while doing laundry. Not just any ring, a stunning 3-carat oval diamond in a platinum setting, nestled in a distinctive blue box from Cartier. My heart skipped when I pulled it from Meki's jacket pocket, thinking he'd finally remembered our 10th anniversary was coming up. My name is Talia, and until that moment, I thought I was living the dream. Former corporate lawyer turned supportive wife, helping build my husband's tech empire from the ground up. I gave up my career, my independence, everything, because I believed in us. In him. "Babe," I called out, trying to keep my voice light and playful, "what's this little surprise I found?" Meki was in his home office, typing away on his laptop. He barely looked up when I entered, waving the little blue box. "The ring," I said, perching on the edge of his desk. "Is this what I think it is?" He finally glanced up, and something flashed across his face. Not guilt, not exactly, more like irritation. "Where did you find that?" "In your jacket. I was doing laundry." I opened the box, admiring how the diamond caught the light. "It's beautiful." "It's not for you." 4 words, just 4 simple words, but they hit me like a physical blow. I kept my face carefully neutral, years of courtroom experience kicking in. "Oh, it's for a business associate." He reached for the box, but I held it just out of reach. "A business associate?" My voice remained steady, curious even. "Must be some associate. This is what, 60,000? 70? "Talia, give me the ring." His tone had an edge now. "Of course." I handed it over, watching as he quickly tucked it into his desk drawer. Silly me, jumping to conclusions. I walked out of his office, my heels clicking against the hardwood floors of our $1 million home. In our bedroom, I pulled out my phone and typed a quick message to my old assistant from my law firm days. "Sarah, remember that emergency email account we set up? I need the login details. ASAP." Her response came within minutes. "Operation Glasshouse, still active, password unchanged." I sat at my vanity, staring at my reflection. The woman looking back at me was polished, perfect, Maki's trophy wife. But underneath, something else was stirring. Something cold and precise, like surgical steel. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Maki. "Working late tonight, don't wait up." I typed back, "No problem, honey. Love you." Then I opened my laptop and logged into an email account I'd hoped never to need. The username made me smile grimly. Phoenix Rising, irredacted.com. I'd created it years ago when I first noticed small red flags in Maki's behaviour. Call it lawyer's instinct or woman's intuition, but I'd always kept my escape routes clear. The inbox was empty except for one draft email dated 3 years ago. "Dear future me, if you're reading this, he finally showed his true colours. Remember who you are. Remember what you can do. And most importantly, remember that the best revenge isn't served hot or cold, it's served legally. Love, past Talia." I began typing a new draft, my fingers flying across the keyboard. Step 1, asset inventory. Step 2, digital surveillance. Step 3, paper trail reconstruction. Step 4, shell company activation. A text from Meki interrupted my planning. "Might need to go to LA next week. Big investor meeting." I smiled at the phone, wondering if LA was code for something or someone else. "Of course, baby. Whatever you need." The ring wasn't meant for me. Fine. But what Meki didn't realize was that he'd just handed me something far more valuable than diamonds. He'd given me clarity. And with clarity came purpose. I opened my old legal contacts list and scrolled to a familiar name, Jeremiah Garrett. My finger hovered over the call button as I glanced at the photo on my nightstand, Meki and me on our wedding day, both smiling, both lying. Time to remind the world who Talia really is. It's amazing how much you can learn about someone when you really start looking. 3 days of careful digging revealed more than 10 years of marriage ever did. "Your husband's cell records as requested," Sarah said, sliding a manila envelope across the coffee shop table. "And you didn't get these from me." I smiled, remembering why I'd always kept her close. "Get what?" The records told a story. One number appeared consistently over the past 8 months, usually late at night or during Mecky's business trips. It took about 20 minutes of social media searching to put a face to the number. Lana Griffin, former intern at Mecky's company, current head of innovation strategy. I remembered her from the holiday party last year. Young, ambitious, with that hungry look in her eyes I used to see in the mirror. Mecky had introduced her as just a temp. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Is this Talia?" "Speaking." "It's Ava. I'm in town." My sister's voice sent ice through my veins. We hadn't spoken since Mum's birthday disaster 2 years ago. "Why? Can't a girl visit her big sister?" A pause. "I'm actually outside your house right now." I drove home to find Ava sitting on our front steps, looking exactly like the trouble she'd always been. Designer clothes, perfect makeup, and eyes that held secrets. "Nice place," she said, standing to hug me. I let her, but kept it brief. "Mecky's doing well, I see." Something in her tone made me pause. "How would you know?" "Oh, you know. I follow the business news." She waved her hand dismissively. "Listen, I need a place to crash for a few days, just until I sort some things out." I should have said no. But Ava had always been my weak spot, the wild little sister I'd protected since we were kids. "Guest room's upstairs," I said, unlocking the door. "First door on the right." That night, I heard Ava's phone ring around midnight. I wasn't eavesdropping exactly, just happened to be passing her room on my way to the kitchen. "I can't talk now," she whispered. "No, she doesn't suspect anything. Yes, babe, I know the plan." I froze in the hallway, my lawyer brain connecting dots I didn't want to connect. The next morning, I acted normal. Made coffee. Smiled at Mecky as he rushed out for an early meeting. Watched Ava scroll through her phone at the breakfast bar. "So," I said casually, "how long have you been sleeping with my husband?" Ava's phone clattered to the counter. "What? Please don't insult my intelligence." I sipped my coffee. "I heard you on the phone last night. Babe." "Really?" "Talia, save it." I pulled out my laptop and turned it to face her. On the screen was a bank statement showing transfers from Mecky's business account to a company registered in Ava's name. "Want to explain this instead?" Her face crumpled. "It's not what you think." "Oh, because what I think is that my husband is laundering money through my sister's shell company while they're having an affair. Am I warm?" "He said he loved me," Ava whispered. "Said he'd help with my startup." I laughed and the sound made her flinch. "Of course he did. That's what Mecky does. He finds people's weaknesses and exploits them. I just never thought my own sister would be that weak." "What are you going to do?" I stood up, straightening my blazer. "Right now, I'm going to work. You're going to stay right here and think about every decision that led you to this moment. And tonight—" I smiled, the same smile I used to give opposing counsel before destroying their case. "Tonight we're all having dinner together. Won't that be fun?" Ava's phone buzzed on the counter. Makey's face lit up the screen. "You should answer that," I said, heading for the door. "He's probably wondering why you're not responding to his good morning text. Tell him I said hi." As I pulled out of the driveway, I called Sarah again. "I need everything you can find on a company called Griffin Innovation Partners. And Sarah, add my sister Ava to the surveillance list." The game was getting more interesting by the minute, and I was just getting started. The dinner table was a masterpiece of tension. Mecky at one end, me at the other, and Ava between us, pushing her food around her plate like a guilty child. I'd ordered from Makey's favourite Italian place. No point wasting my cooking skills tonight. "So, Ava," I said, swirling my wine, "tell us about your startup, the one Makey's been helping you with." Makey's fork clattered against his plate. "What? Oh, didn't you want me to know about that?" I smiled sweetly. The transfers weren't exactly subtle, honey, though routing them through Mum's retirement account was creative. "What are you talking about?" Makey's voice had that dangerous edge I'd learned to recognize. I pulled out my phone and started reading. 6 transfers totaling $850,000 from accounts linked to Mum's pension fund, transferred to Griffin Innovation Partners, then split between Ava's startup and... I paused for effect. A certain jewellery store on Fifth Avenue. The colour drained from both their faces. "Talia," Ava started, but I cut her off. "The best part? Mum doesn't even know her retirement is gone. You forged her signatures, didn't you, Ava? Just like you did in high school when you needed money for that spring break trip." "It wasn't like that," Ava protested. "Makey said he'd replace it before..." "Before what? Before Mum retired? Before someone noticed?" I turned to Makey. "Or before you left me for Lana?" The silence was delicious. "How did you..." Makey began. "Find out? I'm a lawyer, darling. Or did you forget that while you were busy turning me into your trophy wife?" I stood up, walking to the bar cart. Would anyone like more wine? No, just me then. "I can explain everything," Makey said, standing too. "Sit down." My voice could have frozen hell. "I'm not finished." He sat. "Here's what's going to happen," I continued. "Tomorrow morning, the full amount will be returned to Mom's account, with interest. Ava, you're going to confess everything to her, and this time I won't protect you." "Talia, please," Ava whispered. "As for you, dear husband..." I pulled out another document. "Remember this investor agreement from last month, the one with my signature on it?" Mecky's face went from pale to grey. "Maggie, except it's not my signature, is it? You forged that too, and now those investors are wondering why their money is being channeled through various shell companies, including one registered to a certain Ms. Griffin." "You're bluffing," Mecky said, but his voice shook. I played the recording on my phone. "Mr. Pearson, this is the SEC. We're calling about some irregularities in your recent filings." "I saved that voicemail," I said, switching it off, "along with everything else. Every email, every transfer, every forged document. I have it all." "What do you want?" Makey asked quietly. "Want? Oh, honey," I laughed. "I don't want anything. I'm just getting started." My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. "Stock purchase complete. You now own 51% through the shell corporations. By the way," I added, "you might want to check your company's stock ownership. There have been some interesting changes lately." Mecky grabbed his phone, his fingers trembling as he pulled up the trading data. I watched realization dawn on his face. "How? Remember when you insisted I sign those blank documents for tax purposes last year?" I smiled. "They came in handy." Ava stood up suddenly. "I should go." "Yes, you should." I didn't look at her. "Mum's expecting your call tomorrow. Don't disappoint me again." After she left, Mecky and I sat in silence. Finally, he spoke. "What happens now?" "Now?" I finished my wine. "Now you go upstairs and pack a bag. Your reservation at the Four Seasons is already confirmed, and tomorrow you'll go to work like nothing's wrong. But everything will be wrong, won't it?" He walked upstairs without another word. I waited until I heard the bedroom door close before pulling out my phone again. "Jeremiah, it's Talia. Remember that favour you owe me? I'm ready to collect." The pieces were falling into place, and the best part? They had no idea what was coming next. Jeremiah hadn't changed much since law school. Same confident stride, same knowing smile as he walked into the hotel bar. 15 years ago, he'd been the one who got away. Now he was my ace in the hole. Still drinking Manhattans? He asked, sliding onto the bar stool next to me. Only when I'm plotting revenge. He laughed. The Talia I remember wouldn't need help with that. The Talia you remember wouldn't have let herself become a doormat in the first place. I pushed a folder toward him. Everything's here. The forged documents, the money trails, the SEC violations. He flipped through the pages, whistling softly. Your husband's been busy. Soon to be ex-husband. And the other woman? That's where you come in. I pulled out my phone, showing him Lana's LinkedIn profile. She works at his company. I need to get close to her, but she can't know who I am. You're thinking infiltration? I'm thinking your firm needs a new client liaison, someone who happens to frequent the same coffee shop as Ms. Griffin. Jeremiah's eyes sparkled. Devious, I like it. The plan worked perfectly. Within a week I was Jessica, the friendly stranger who always seemed to be getting coffee when Lana did. By week 2, we were having lunch together. I just don't know what to do, Lana confided one day, twisting her napkin. He says he's leaving his wife, but he hasn't yet, I finished sympathetically. He gave me a ring. She glanced around before pulling out her phone, showing me a photo. My ring. Said we'd announce everything after this big merger next month. Sounds complicated, I said, sipping my latte. Does his wife suspect anything? Lana shook her head. He says she's clueless, just some trophy wife who gave up her career to play house. I bit back a smile. Must be nice, having everything handed to you like that. Right, God, I could never be like that. I actually want to work for my success. My phone buzzed, a text from Jeremiah. SEC filing complete, ready when you are. Speaking of success, I said, have you checked your company's stock price today? Lana frowned, pulling up the market app. Her face went white. That can't be right. We're down 60%. Oh dear, I took another sip. Must be those SEC investigations. Nasty business. Fraud charges. What fraud charges? I pulled up the breaking news on my phone. There it was, splashed across the financial sites. Tech CEO under investigation for securities fraud and embezzlement. Jessica, Lana's voice shook. How did you know about the SEC investigation? I smiled, dropping the friendly act. The same way I knew about the ring, the affair, everything. Recognition dawned in her eyes. You're Talia, the clueless trophy wife. I stood up, smoothing my skirt. By the way, that ring you're so proud of? The diamond's lab-grown. Mickey couldn't afford the real thing, not with his assets frozen. Lana swayed in her seat. I think I'm going to be sick. Ladies' room is that way. Oh, and Lana? I dropped my business card on the table. When you're ready to talk about what you know, call me. The SEC would love to hear from a cooperative witness. I walked out just as she rushed to the bathroom. Outside, Jeremiah was waiting in his car. How'd it go? Exactly as planned. I buckled my seatbelt. She'll call within the hour. And Makey? Should be getting served with divorce papers right about... I checked my watch. Now. You're terrifying, Jeremiah said admiringly. I'm efficient. I pulled out my phone as it buzzed with a text from Makey. What have you done? I typed back, ask your girlfriend if she's done throwing up. Where to now? Jeremiah asked. The office. Time for phase 2. I smiled as another text came through, this one from Lana. We need to talk. You know, Jeremiah said, pulling into traffic, I always wondered what would have happened if you'd chosen me instead of him. I looked at him sideways. Let's focus on destroying my marriage before we talk about starting another one. He laughed, but there was something in his eyes that made me wonder. But that was a complication for another day. Right now, I had a company to take over and a husband to ruin, and I was just getting warmed up. I moved into a luxury hotel suite the next day, citing emotional distress to anyone who asked. The truth was, I needed neutral ground for what came next. "Miss Griffin is here," the concierge announced. "Send her up." Lana looked different now, smaller somehow. The confident startup executive had been replaced by someone who'd clearly been crying. "I brought everything," she said, dropping a thick folder on my coffee table. "Emails, texts, bank statements, even recordings of our conversations." "Sit." I poured 2 glasses of wine. "Tell me when you realized he was using you. When the SEC froze his accounts." She took a shaky sip. "I tried to withdraw money from our joint account, the one he set up for our future, and it was empty. He'd cleaned it out days ago." "How much?" 300,000, my entire savings." Her laugh was bitter. "He said it was for our dream house." My phone buzzed. Ava. "Speaking of dream houses," I said, answering the call on speaker. "Hello, sister dear. Mum with you?" "Yes." Ava's voice was thick with tears. I told her everything. "Put her on." "Talia," my mother's voice was steel, "is it true about Mecky and the money?" "All of it, and more." I looked at Lana. "Would you like to meet one of his other victims?" "Other victims?" Mum's voice cracked. "My retirement fund wasn't enough." Lana leaned forward. "Mrs. Lowe, I'm Lana. I thought I was going to marry your son-in-law." The silence was deafening. "Mum," I said softly, "remember when you said I was foolish for giving up my career for him? You were right." "What do you need?" Mum asked, all business now. "Your signature, the real one this time. I'm taking everything." "You'll have it in an hour." After we hung up, Lana stared at me. "What are you planning?" "Justice." I pulled out my laptop. "But first, I need you to sign something." "What is it?" "Your official statement to the SEC in exchange for immunity." I smiled. "Unless you'd prefer to be charged as an accomplice." Her hand shook as she signed. "Will this hurt him?" "Devastatingly." "Good." My phone buzzed again. Jeremiah this time. "Board meeting set for tomorrow. You ready?" "Almost." I looked at Lana. "One more thing. That ring he gave you?" She pulled it from her purse. "Take it. Keep it. Consider it severance pay." I stood up. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a company to prepare for." After Lana left, I called Ava. "The money's back in Mum's account," she said immediately. "All of it. Plus interest. I sold everything I had." "Good girl." I softened slightly. "You know what happens next?" "I testify against him. And I stay away from you, forever this time." "Smart girl." I hung up, then dialed Mecky's number. "Come to gloat," he answered. "Come to warn you, actually. Tomorrow's board meeting? Don't bother showing up." "It's my company." "Check your email." I waited while he presumably did so. "That's a copy of the shareholder agreement you forged my signature on. Notice anything interesting?" His sharp intake of breath told me he'd found it. "The signature's real on this one," I continued, "dated 3 years ago, when I still had power of attorney. Everything you've done since then, technically under my authority. You can't—" "Already did. The board votes tomorrow, but the outcome's already decided." I paused. "Oh, and that merger you were counting on, the one you needed to pay back your investors, I killed it this morning." "You'll destroy everything." "No, honey, you did that yourself." I hung up, then texted Jeremiah. "It's done. See you tomorrow." Looking out over the city from my suite, I raised my wineglass in a silent toast. Tomorrow, I'd walk into that boardroom not as Makey's wife, but as the majority shareholder, the woman who'd been quietly buying up stock through shell companies for years. They thought I was just a trophy wife who gave up everything for love. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The boardroom fell silent as I walked in, Jeremiah 2 steps behind me. Mecky sat at the head of the table, despite my warning. His face was ashen, but he still managed a smirk. "Talia, this is a closed meeting." "Is it?" I set my briefcase on the table. According to these documents, I'm the majority shareholder, have been for 3 years. Impossible, one of the board members said. Mr. Pearson holds controlling interest. Actually, Jeremiah stepped forward, distributing folders. He doesn't, and hasn't since 2020, if you'll turn to page 3. This is ridiculous, Meki stood up. She's just angry because you were planning to leave me for your intern, or because you stole my mother-in-law's retirement fund. I smiled sweetly. Please tell the board which part has me angry. The room erupted in whispers. These allegations are serious, the board chairman said. They're not allegations. I nodded to Jeremiah, who started a PowerPoint presentation. They're facts, documented, verified, and currently being investigated by the SEC. Meki's face went from ashen to purple. You're lying. First slide, please. I pointed to the screen. These are bank transfers from various shell companies, all leading back to Mr. Pearson. Note the dates, amounts, and, most importantly, the forged signatures. Those signatures are real, Meki protested. Really? I pulled out a document. This is a handwriting analysis from a federal forensics expert. Would you like to guess what it says? More whispers. The board members were starting to shift uncomfortably. Next slide. The screen showed emails between Meki and Lana. These are particularly interesting, especially the parts about using company funds for personal expenses, including, I might add, a rather expensive engagement ring. You bitch, Meki whispered. Language, dear. We're in a professional setting. I turned to the board. I assume you've all seen the SEC filing by now, the one that tanked our stock this morning. Nods around the table. What you haven't seen is this. I pulled out one final document. A signed confession from Ms. Griffin detailing every fraudulent transaction, every misappropriated fund, and every false statement made to investors. The chairman cleared his throat. Mr. Pearson, do you have any response to these accusations? Meki stood up so fast his chair crashed backward. This is my company. I built this from nothing. Actually, I interrupted, you built it with my money, my connections, my legal expertise. I paused, and now it's mine again. All those in favour of removing Mr. Pearson as CEO? Jeremiah asked. Hands went up around the table, all but one. The motion passes, the chairman announced. Mr. Pearson, please clear out your office by end of day. You can't do this, Meki said, but his voice had lost its power. Security is waiting outside, I said. Don't make this uglier than it needs to be. As 2 guards appeared in the doorway, Meki turned to me one last time. I loved you once. No, I replied. You loved what I could do for you. There's a difference. After he was escorted out, I addressed the board. I'll be assuming control as interim CEO, first order of business, damage control. Jeremiah here will outline our strategy for managing the SEC investigation. And what about the merger? Someone asked. Cancelled. We're going in a different direction. I sat in Meki's vacated chair, one that doesn't involve fraud. My phone buzzed, a text from Lana. It's done. I just gave my statement to the SEC. Then another from Ava. Mum's lawyer filed the criminal complaint. I'm so sorry. And finally, one from Mom. You always were the smart one. Mrs. Pearson? The chairman's voice pulled me back. Your recommendations for moving forward? First, it's Ms. Lowe now. I opened my laptop. And I have a few ideas about rebuilding this company's reputation, starting with full transparency. As I outlined my plans, I caught Jeremiah watching me with something like awe. Or maybe it was something else. But that was a complication for another day. Right now, I had an empire to rebuild, and this time I'd do it my way. The knock came at midnight. I knew it would. Men like Meki always crack after they lose everything. "You've ruined me," he slurred when I opened the door. He looked terrible, unshaven, shirt wrinkled, eyes bloodshot. The perfect picture of a fallen king. "You ruined yourself," I replied, letting him stumble into my hotel suite. "Drink? Is this funny to you?" He collapsed onto my couch. "The SEC froze all my accounts. The board's pressing charges. Even my sister Scarlett won't take my calls." "Ah, yes, Scarlett." I poured 2 whiskies. "Did you know she's been feeding me information for months? Amazing what siblings will do when they discover their brother stole their inheritance." "What? Those trust fund transfers you thought no one noticed?" I handed him a glass. "She noticed, and she didn't appreciate it." He drained the whiskey in one gulp. I was going to pay it back. "Like you were going to pay back my mother, or Lana, or the investors?" I sat across from him. "Tell me, was any of it real? Us?" "Of course it was real." He leaned forward. "Everything I did for us, to build something great." "No," I set my glass down. "Everything you did for yourself. I was just convenient, the lawyer who could make everything look legitimate." "That's not true." "Then why Lana?" He flinched. "She was a mistake." "And Ava? Was my sister a mistake too?" "I never meant to get caught," I finished. "That's the only thing you're sorry about?" My phone buzzed. A text from Jeremiah. "Police just raided his house, found everything." "Speaking of getting caught," I showed Mecky the message. "Looks like they found those hard drives you thought you'd hidden." All colour drained from his face. "How did you know where they were?" "Scarlett told me. Apparently, you talk in your sleep." I stood up. "The ones detailing all your offshore accounts, the shell companies, the bribes?" "Talia, please." He grabbed my hand. "We can fix this. Together. I'll give you anything you want." I pulled away. "I already have everything I want. Your company, your reputation, your freedom." "My freedom?" "The police are probably heading here now." I checked my watch. "I told them where to find you." As if on cue, there was a knock at the door. "Police! Open up!" "You wouldn't," he whispered. "Wouldn't I?" I opened the door. "He's in here, officers." What followed was surprisingly anticlimactic. The handcuffs, the rights being read, the quiet defeat in Makey's eyes as they led him away. "One thing," he said, pausing at the door. "Was any of it real for you?" "Yes," I replied honestly, "until I found that ring. Then I realized it never was for you." After he was gone, I called Jeremiah. "It's done," I said. "You okay?" "Better than okay." I looked around the suite. "But I think I'm ready to go home." "Your home or mine?" The question hung in the air, heavy with possibility. "Mine," I decided. "For now." "For now," he repeated. "I can work with that." After hanging up, I got another text, from Lana of all people. "Thank you for everything. The job recommendation. It means a lot." I'd helped her get a position at a competing firm, far away from here. Some might call it kindness, but really it was insurance. Keep your friends close and your former rivals closer. My mother called next. "The detective says they found everything. He's going away for a long time." "Good. And Ava?" I sighed. "She made her choice. She's still your sister." "Not anymore." I looked out at the city lights. "Some betrayals can't be forgiven." "And some wounds need time to heal," Mum said softly. "Just think about it." After we hung up, I packed my bags. Tomorrow I'd move back into my house, our house, now just mine. The company stock was already recovering, the board trusted me, the future was wide open. But tonight, standing in this hotel room where everything had changed, I allowed myself one moment of weakness, one tear for the life I thought I'd had, for the love I thought was real. Then I wiped it away and called Jeremiah again. "Changed your mind about tonight?" "Maybe," I said. "Know any good revenge movies?" His laugh warmed something I thought had frozen forever. I'll bring the popcorn. The verdict came down on a Tuesday. 10 years for fraud, embezzlement and financial crimes. I sat in the back of the courtroom, watching Mecky's shoulders slump as they led him away. "You didn't have to come," Jeremiah said as we left the courthouse. "Yes, I did." I slipped my hand into his. Needed to see it end. My phone buzzed, a news alert about the sentencing. Below it, a message from Scarlett. "Thank you for giving me back my trust fund. Dinner soon?" "Going to answer her?" Jeremiah asked. "Eventually." I put the phone away. "First, I have somewhere to be." We drove to my mother's house, where another difficult conversation waited. Ava opened the door, looking smaller than I remembered. "The prosecutor said my testimony helped," she said quietly. "It did. I'm moving to Seattle next week, fresh start." "Good," she hesitated. "Will you ever forgive me?" "I don't know." I met her eyes. "But I'm willing to try, eventually." Mum appeared behind her. "Come in, both of you. I made coffee." Inside, the familiar scent of home wrapped around me. We sat in the kitchen, 4 adults trying to rebuild something broken. "The company's stock hit a new high," Mum said, pouring coffee. "The honest way this time," I replied. "And you too?" She glanced between Jeremiah and me. "Is that going somewhere?" "We're taking it slow," Jeremiah said, squeezing my hand under the table. "Slow is good," I agreed. "Slow means real." My phone buzzed again, Lana this time. "Got the promotion. Thank you for the reference. And I'm sorry for everything." "Speaking of real," I showed them the message. "Looks like karma works both ways." "Are you happy?" Ava asked suddenly. "After everything?" I considered the question. "I'm whole, maybe for the first time." "The ring," Mum said. "Whatever happened to it?" "Funny you should ask." I pulled out the blue Cartier box. "I had the diamond replaced with a real one. Think the women's shelter could auction it for fundraising?" "Perfect," Mum smiled, "making something good from something bad." After coffee, Jeremiah and I walked in the garden. The same garden where I'd married Makey, though those memories felt distant now. "Moving back to your house tomorrow?" he asked. "Our house," I corrected. "If you're still interested in that spare room." He pulled me close. "I'm interested in a lot more than the spare room." "Slow," I reminded him, but kissed him anyway. My phone buzzed one last time, an email from the board. The merger I'd proposed, the legitimate one, had been approved unanimously. "Ready to build something real?" Jeremiah asked, reading over my shoulder. "Already am." I looked at the house where my mother and sister were watching through the window, at the man beside me who'd waited years for the right moment, at the life I'd rebuilt from ashes. The ring wasn't meant for me, but this life, this strength, this was always mine. I just had to lose everything to find it. "Come on," I said, tugging Jeremiah's hand. "We have a company to run." "And dinner reservations," he reminded me, "unless you're too busy being a corporate powerhouse. Never too busy for good food and better company." As we walked to the car, I caught my reflection in the window. Not a trophy wife, not a victim, not even just a victor. Just me, Talia. Finally, completely myself. "You know what the best revenge is?" I asked, sliding into the passenger seat. "Living well?" "No," I smiled. "The best revenge is knowing you never needed revenge in the first place. You just needed to remember who you are." "And who are you?" I looked ahead at the road stretching before us. "Someone who doesn't need a ring to be complete." He started the car and we drove toward whatever came next. Behind us, Mum and Ava waved from the porch. Ahead, the future waited, uncertain, unwritten, and entirely mine. This time, I was ready for it. All of it. The good, the bad, and everything in between, because this time I was writing my own story.